Good morning to all. This is the video lesson on the speech My Vision for India by Dr.A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, presented by Mrs. Nagavini N.V., Assistant Professor of English. Dr.A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's period is between 5th October 1930, 1st to 27th July 2015. He was an Indian aerospace scientist and science administrator at the Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO) and Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO). My Vision for India was a speech delivered by Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam on 25th 2011 at IIT Hyderabad, India. His three visions for India are freedom, development, and India must stand up to the world. The first vision, freedom. He mentions that in the 3000 years of history of India, invaders from all over the world captured our lands and conquered our minds. I quote and unquote. From Alexander onwards, the Greeks, the Turks, the Mughals, the Portuguese, the British, the French, the Dutch, all of them came and looted us, took over what was ours. Yet we have not done this to any other nation. I unquote. Why? Because we respect the freedom of others. I quote and unquote. In his view, India had got this vision of freedom at first in 1857 when it started the War of Independence. This freedom must be protected and nurtured and built up. I quote his words and unquote. If we are not free, no one will respect us. The second vision, development. There is 10% growth in most areas in India. Poverty levels are falling, achievements are being globally recognized, but we lack self-confidence to see ourselves as a developed nation, self-reliant and self-assured nation. He questions, isn't this incorrect? We have been developing for 50 years. As we are among the top 5 nations of the world in terms of GDP, it is time for ourselves. It is time we see ourselves as a developed nation. I quoted, unquote. The third vision, India must stand up to the world. Unless India stands up to the world, no one will respect India. I quote and unquote his words. Only strength respects strength. India must be strong. I again quote and unquote his words. Not only as a military power, but also as an economic power. He acknowledges his fortune that he was able to work with three great minds. Dr. Vikram Sarabhai of the Department of Space, Professor Satish Dhawan, his successor, Dr. Brahma Prakash, the father of nuclear material. I quote his words: I was lucky to have worked with all three of them closely and consider this the great opportunity of my life. I unquote. The conversation between Dr. APJ and a 14-year-old girl. Where did Dr. APJ got this vision? Where? What was the sparkle? What sparkled these visions in the mind of Dr. APJ is a conversation between Dr. APJ and a 14-year-old girl. After a speech in Hyderabad, a 14-year-old girl came to him and asked for his autograph. He asked her about her goal of life. She replied that she wanted to live in a developed India. Dr. APJ opines that for her, I quote and unquote his words, you and I will have to build this developed India. We must proclaim India is not an underdeveloped nation. It is a highly developed nation. Our government is inefficient. He speaks of the words of people in general about the efficiency of our government and inefficiency of the government. He says, you say that our laws are too old, the municipality does not pick up the garbage. You say that the phones don't work, the railways are a joke, the airline is the worst in the world, and mails never reach the destination. Our country has been fed to the dogs and is the absolute pits. You say, and say. What do you do about it? To that he suggests by relating J.F. Kennedy's words to Indians. He tells the people who always grudges about the inefficiency of the system. I quote and unquote his words. Ask what we can do for India and do what has to be done to make India what America and other Western countries are today. I unquote. J.F. Kennedy had given a call to his people, and his words to the Americans to become number one in the world are related to Indians by Dr. APJ. Ask what we can do for India. ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಎಂದು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕೇಳಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು. And do what has to be done to make India what America and other Western countries are today. ನಂತರ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಮೆರಿಕ ಮತ್ತು ಬೇರೆ ಪಾಶ್ಚಿಮಾತ್ಯ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಗಳು ಇವತ್ತು ಏನು ಆಗಿದ್ದಾವೆ ಅವುಗಳ ಸಾಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತ ನಿಲ್ಲಬೇಕಾದರೆ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಎಂದು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕೇಳಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು. Ask what we can do for India and do what has to be done to make India what America and other Western countries are today. This is the speech prescribed to the third semester BA course of Bangalore, North University. The questions that can be asked on this speech are: what are Abdul Kalam's 3 visions for India? What was the conversation between Kalam and a 14-year-old girl? Why does Abdul Kalam relate JF Kennedy's words to India? Thank you for watching.